it's BT with the BT Jerez GP review. Let's get right to it. If you ever get to a GP, you got to get to Jerez. Jerez, the way to start off the European leg of the championship is starting off in Jerez, and that's the greatest thing to do because that place is just magical. I went there one year, and I went to the gates about 6:15 in the morning. There was a line wrapped around the building. I was like, are the Beatles back together? Is that Oasis in there? That's how big the line was. And so I said, you know what, I'm gonna sleep in the front seat till about 7 o'clock, and then I'll see what's up. I let the seat back around 6:15, and then they start blasting "We Will Rock You" from the racetrack speakers, and I go, well, I'm up now. And I remember going to the stadium, it was like 8 o'clock, and I'm walking around, and the way the sun was hitting the stands, and the stands were filled at like 8 o'clock, and the way they hit the people, I can't describe it, but I just start crying. And it was the weirdest experience, but it's a spiritual experience. You got to go to Jerez, and I'm being dead serious. It's a great time. Anyway, let's get right to it. Moto3, the kid with the three first names, Jose Antonio Rueda. Why did they get that boy three first names? He's running away with this championship on the down low. I mean, the only person I think can catch him or give him a race maybe is Angel Paceres and his boy. Well, Max is not there, but anyway. He's been around the race, and David Munoz is my heartbreak. Because David Munoz, I don't know if he walked underneath a ladder, kicked a black cat. He's dating one of the Kardashians, and they're those crazy ass girls are. He's like, you know what? I don't feel like a racer anymore. I don't know what I feel, and not you too. So I don't know what's going on with him, but man, he just needs to get points. I think once he starts getting points, I think it'll be a different David Munoz. Anyway, let's go to Moto 2. Heartbreak goes to the Aspar team, the CF Moto Aspar team. David Alonso's birthday was Friday. David Halgado's birthday was Sunday, and they both crashed out in the race. They didn't get any points. That was the worst birthday weekend ever. They should have just went to Chuck E. Cheese and called it a weekend. Anyway, they're my heartbreak. The ride of the race to me is Manuel Gonzalez. Manuel Gonzalez, I'm paraphrasing what he said, but I'm not too far off. They go, how do you think you're going to do this weekend? And he said, I'm at my home track. I just got to stay calm, but I can't see anybody beat me this weekend. So, yeah, I'm fast. I feel good. I don't think anybody's going to beat me this weekend. And he did the damn thing. He won by over 3 seconds. He was the Shador Sanders of this weekend, except for he had a team that wanted him early. Oh, damn, I went there. Great ride by Manuel Gonzalez. He did the damn thing. Great for him. Walk the walk, talk the talk. Let's get to MotoGP. MotoGP. Listen, I think MotoGP copied me. Tell me, maybe I'm giving myself too much credit. But now you can pick the rider of the race. They have that little barcode you can scan. Which technology, right? But now you can have the MotoGP rider of the race, and I think they got that from me. But anyway. And the fans pick Fabio, which I think is great, but I go with Alex Marquez because he's been in the shadow of his big brother Mark his whole career. But he's been a two-time world champion. People say he didn't deserve to be in MotoGP. He's a two-time world champion. Matter of fact, he had two runner-ups when he was with the Repsol team in a wet and a dry race. So you can't say shit about Alex. Alex was doing his thing, but it was always Mark. He was like the Jan Brady of that family. Like everywhere I go, it's Mark. And he finally was able to bust out of that shadow and be his own person. I thought it was great. When he hugged Mark, when they hugged each other, man, I ain't gonna lie, I felt like crying. And he was crying before Mark got there. It was just, and Alex is just a good dude. If you ever met him, man, he's just genuine. You just love Alex. I mean, I love Mark too, but you gotta love Alex. Anyway, Alex is my rider of the race for what he did. My heartbreak goes to his brother Mark, ironically, because Mark, even though Mark called, he said, hey, my brother Alex, and he said, Pecco, listen, and people were saying, like, you know what happened? Pecco roughed up Mark, and that's why Mark really didn't do so well. If you watched the race, Mark wheelied off the line, so he kind of screwed this up there. He got wheelied off the line. Not gonna lie, Pecco gave him some elbow grease, but when have you known Mark to shy away from a fight? When is Mark going, stop? Even when he had his bad arm, when he was racing, he should have been in the Special Olympics. He was all like, remember he first came back, he was in Portimao, and they were roughing him up, and after the race, he kind of went to the paddock, and he was all beat up, because even Mir was beating on him, because he really shouldn't have been out there. Hey, Mark didn't shy away from fights. He's like that dude that goes, yeah, come on, hit me harder. Nice hit, kid. He does shit like this, and cracks his neck, and you go, okay, I don't think I want to fight that. Any guy that cracks his own neck before a fight, and that's what Mark is like. So you really think that Pecco roughing Mark up ruined Mark's race? No, even Mark said he don't know what it was. But no offense to Pecco, but he didn't rough him up. But he's my heartbreak. Mark's my heartbreak. It happens. And actually, that might be the best thing for Mark, is to be in a fight the whole race. Because if you think about it, he's crashed out of 2 of the last 3 GPs, right? And when he was in Austin, if Mark has too much time on his hands, if he gets out early, it's like, no offense, he's getting older, so he's thinking of other stuff. He's like, you know what, should I marry Jim? She's great. She's a supermodel. Probably should marry her. Where are we going to live? Should we have kids? Oh, shit, turn 3, And I think that's what I think he loses concentration a little bit, because once you go off flying in MotoGP, it's hard. There's something going on with that Ducati that if you watch Pecco, they say a lot, but they don't really say nothing, if that makes any sense. That's why this test that's going on probably right now or in the next hour is going to be big time more for Pecco probably than Mark, but still, there's something going on with that Ducati. So when they go a little bit offline, or they get in somebody's slipstream, whatever, especially in a turn, I think it messes up their, with the air. So anyway, I don't know why I couldn't say turbulence, but it messed up their air. I mean, you saw the thing with Fabio. Fabio with Mark in the sprint. By the way, that's an underrated sprint race there, by the way. And you got to give it to. I wanted to give it to Fabio too, because listen, let's be honest here. I don't like Pecco's sourpuss face on this podium, but hey, if you want friends, you go to Facebook. I get it, you're competitive, but if you think about it, I can understand why he's pissed off. He got beat by that jalopy they call a MotoGP bike, right? Which is that Yamaha, and even Fabio's like, hey, they go, hey, what do you think you're gonna do in Le Mans? That's your home race. He goes, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Okay, I got lucky this weekend, but he held off Pecco on that that so-called best bike on the grid. He held off Pecco, and he got a runner-up. And and if you think about Alex Marquez beat on a Euro bike, he beat out Pecco. So Pecco got beat by a Euro bike, and he got beat by, like I said, the jalopy of an M1, the Yamaha, beat the Ducati. So he's got to be like, damn. That's like Mike Tyson getting beat up like by Sugar Ray Leonard in their prime. Like they have a fight out in the middle of the sea, because in the middle of the ocean, because there's no rules out there, and Mike Tyson gets beat up by Sugar Ray Leonard, and they go, Mike, what happened? He go, I don't know. I just I thought I had him, but he was quicker than I thought he was going to be. I couldn't rough him up like I wanted to, and his jab was working, so I give him credit. I don't know what the deal is. Yeah, something like that. But if you think about that, that's really got to weigh on Pecco's mind. People saying he's not performing. Like, hey, the best thing for MotoGP is for Fabio and Maverick Vinales. The arrival of Maverick Vinales is not to be understated, because think about it. The boy for KTM is supposed to be Pedro. This is supposed to be Pedro's coming out party, right? Coming out in Moto. You know what I'm saying? This is supposed to be Pedro's party, but the talk on Pedro is the rumors more than the actual racing right now. But Maverick, I'm going to call this maturity of Maverick. I think that's what it is. Maverick's got 2 girls, 2 daughters. I don't know if he married a woman, but I don't call her his baby's mama, but he's happy. He even remember when he had a 16-second penalty? Even Hervé Poncharal was happy that Maverick's attitude was like, hey man, it is what it is. And he had his girl on his bike, and she was happy. She don't care about daddy, being a MotoGP racer or losing out on a 16-second penalty. When kids don't give a shit, they just want you to be there. And I think Maverick is feeling that. And he's happy, and he's getting whoever's on his team, they're getting it. So, and what MotoGP needs now is somebody, to show the Ducatis, hey, you ain't the only one in this game, bruh. Okay, you ain't the only one here. And I think that's good, but I just really think if it's a good battle, I think Mark welcomes that battle, and he can just win out on points. Because think about it, you don't want Mark to win all these races and then lose the championship because of being out front and getting kind of cocky, and then he crashes. So the best thing for Mark is to have battles the entire race. So anyway, that's my deal on that. I hope I got everything I want to talk about here. Oh, props to Christian Daniel Jr. in the Red Bull Rookies Cup. He's from America. He's been on my podcast twice, on the Tales from a Gemini podcast. If you get a chance, look out for KD Jr., Christian Daniel Jr. The kid is it's a great family. He and his dad, it warmed my heart. He got a podium for Red Bull Rookies Cup. If you get a chance, watch the race number 2, or watch one of the episodes. And please give a shout out to Kenny Neely, a buddy from Pittsburgh. He had a bad motorcycle accident, car pulled out in front of him, and he's in the hospital. So just some positive, I don't know, prayer or just something positive to the universe. man, you know, I'm sure you'll feel I'm a firm believer in that. So if you could do that for those two, that'd be great. For Kenny, that is. Yeah. And anyway, tell me what you guys thought of the GP. I thought the GP was a B. I thought the actual MotoGP race was good. You know, with that surprise with Mark going out and just watching Alex win and just touching how Mark hugged him and how, you know, had me crying when at the end of the race. So props to Alex Marquez, props to watching Fabio and the rival of Fabio and Maverick. If they can keep this up for the end of the year, it's going to be great. I like to see him put pressure on the Ducati because pressure makes diamonds or it bursts pipes. And right now, to me, it looks like Pecco's pipe is, I mean, it's boiling. I mean, it's early, and the test is going on probably right now because I'm doing this late. The test is going on right now. Pecco needs his test probably more than Mark, because if Mark could ride around that Repsol Honda the last couple of years, he can do anything in life. I mean, he was putting that on the podium, and I was like, really? You put that on the podium? So Pecco needs this test more than Mark, and if he finds it, I think it'd be great. Like I said, it's going to make Mark better. It's going to make all GP better. But the battle between Mark and Pecco, that's what we want to see. I just want to see battles. I want to see Pedro. And what do you guys think of the rumor with Toprak coming to MotoGP with Pedro Acosta, both of them on the Honda team, and they're saying that that Toprak's eventually going to come over because they're going to go switch to Pirelli tires. And here's the thing. Listen, I hope Toprak does come over, but when he does, Mark is going to get older. And listen, as great as Mark is, and you can do all the training in the world, nobody beats Father Time, you know. And I just would not, I don't want to see Mark get his ass kicked by Toprak, because Toprak should be in his prime form by then. I don't want to see that, but hey, that's racing. Anyway, tell me what you guys think. Is it a good idea, Toprak, and if it's true that Pedro will be on the same team? Personally, I see Pedro with VR46. Oh, can you imagine like Valentino taking Pedro underneath his wing, and if Mark wins his ninth this year, and Valet has Pedro going, do me a favor, make sure he doesn't win number 10. And Pedro's like, he talks to the host man, okay, whatever you say, Valet, we'll see. So I can't wait for the future of MotoGP. MotoGP's off-season is almost always better than the current season you're on. So anyway, I'm way too long. I'm getting winded. But like I said, you guys are the only ones that dig GP like I do. So I hope you enjoyed that. Anyway, I got to go. Tell me what you think of the GP. I gave it a B. Tell me what you guys think. Anyway, until then, you know the word. Bye.